Hi everybody. Today we're learning, I'm going to demonstrate how to make textured square slab plate forms. And so each one of you picked up a slab of clay that looks like a pancake here. And I gave you a square plate, a paper plate, real thick paper plate. Unfortunately, I forgot to bring one home for myself to do this demonstration. So I fortunately had a square plate here at my house. So mine's going to be a little bit bigger than yours, but if you don't want to use the plate I gave you, you don't have to use that plate. You can find any plate in your house that you could use. You're going to use it like a mold. So anyway, so maybe that was a good thing because I was able to let you know that you could pick any kind of platter or plate that will fit. But if you want to use the plate I gave you, then use that one too. Okay, so you're going to put your plastic, you're going to unwrap your clay, put it on the table, and the plastic that it was wrapped in, you're going to want to put it over the top of your plate. Because you don't want the plate, the clay to stick to the plate. So the plastic keeps the clay from sticking to the plate. Okay, so now I'm going to put it down here. Can you see? Okay, I'm going to put it down. And I got the plastic over there. And I'm just going to carefully drape my clay. And I'm going to press on it very carefully. Just to figure out the size of it. And I'm looking to see if I have a pencil. Let's see. Oh, I do. Here's a pencil. Okay. All right. So now I could leave it like this, where it just drapes over the edge if I want to but as you can see back here, this is like, the clay is really heavy, so it's falling. Okay, so I'm just going to make a line around where it's at, the square, to cut it so I know the size. The other way that I could have done that is I could have just, and this might be a better way to do it, is I could just lay my clay on the table and I could take my plate, flip it upside down. I think this is a better way. And then you can take a knife and just cut it. And here I am, just cutting it. Hopefully I'm not going to cut the plastic underneath. And I'm just making one long cut, and then I'm going to take off my extra clay. There it all is. Okay. All right, now I'm going to take my plate off because I don't want it to stick. Okay. So here is my square slab. You can set it over to the side. Somewhere flat. I don't have anywhere flat because I'm in a small space, so I'm just going to hold on to it, put my plate back down, and now I'm putting my plastic back on there. Okay, so the best way to do that is to just lay your slab flat, flip your plate over, and go ahead and use it as a template to get the correct size. Now on your plates, and on this one, you could choose the other side of the plate if you want, but it works best if you use the top side of your plate, because the clay shrinks and it allows it to shrink. If you have it on the back side, it can't shrink right. Okay, so here's what it looks like. All cut. See it? There we go. I got it. Cut. Okay. So now, okay. So I have that. Now one more thing I wanted to do, because I have a design in mind, so I'm going to go ahead and take it out of there again. And I wanted to make a design. I'm going to take the stick right here, and I want to press. I'm taking it and I'm just pressing it in gently to make an indentation, an impression in the clay for the design that I'm going to put on my plate. So I'm just pushing it in. Oops, there we go. I don't want to push it too much or it'll crack in that space. And it doesn't really need to be pushed in too much. Just enough to give it an indentation is what I was after. So you can take, as you can see, you can take pretty much any kind of object and press into the clay. Now you can do that before, like I'm doing. I haven't painted it or even really shaped it, but I wanted to get it while it was still flat. So this one's doing it kind of weird. Okay, that's fine. And then I also have these little circles that I'm going to put in here. This is just a little cup that I usually put your underglazes in. So I'm taking it and I'm making the circles. And then I took the lid of a water bottle. I grabbed that. I'm going to press that in. And just making some. And now I'm using a square cookie cutter, but I don't want to cut all the way through. So I'm just going to press a little bit and make an impression. Okay. And let's see. I kind of wanted one more bigger circle. So I think I'll use the lid to the. There we go. Okay, that's good. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and hold this up so you can see. I'll leave the plastic underneath. So I created a design. You can see it. But now if I want to go ahead and paint it, I can do that. But I would just paint like some of the areas. So you have a choice. You can put your design. You can push things in it to make texture, to make design like I did before you paint it with the underglazes, or you can go ahead and paint it with the underglazes. It's actually good to paint it first if you're going to make a lot of impressions, because now I'm going to just paint like sections of it, to paint the circles, paint that. But if I was going to paint all over, and I already had all my texture in there, the paint will actually cover up your texture. So I'm going to show you how to do both. So I showed you how to do it first with the impression, and then I'll show you how to do it once you paint it with the underglazes. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is kind of form, the plate actually forms itself in, the clay forms itself in the plate, right? But I want to pay, but I want to go ahead and pay attention to my lip. I kind of just like the way the lip is, the edge of it is already. So, because it goes with the design I'm putting on it. But what I'm going to do is I put a little bit of water in a cup, and I got myself a small piece of sponge, and I'm squeezing out my water because you never want to use too much water. And I'm just going to go around the edge and soften the edge. Soften it a little bit. Now you could do other things with your edge. Mine, I kind of like that clean look for the geometric shapes that I'm working with. But if you wanted to, you could pinch your edge just like we did with our pinch pots, right? You could add little pieces but you always want to use slip and score like we've learned. And I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do. You can roll it, just whatever you'd like to do. Okay, you guys have been doing pinch pots long enough that you can get creative with your edges. I just happen to want the simpler lip on mine, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, so now let's see, where am I? Decide how you want your square shape. Round the corners. I could round them, but I want mine sharp corners. Cut the slab to the shape you desire. You can cut it in the mold. Okay, we've already done all that. Now, paint with your underglazes. Okay, so I have some underglazes here. And I'm just going to paint the sections of the shapes that I put on here. So I'm painting this little square. And I kind of went over the edge a little bit, but that's okay. And I'm not going to think about it too much because I just want to get this done for you. But let's say I wanted to paint this bigger section. Use this color. Like some of the bigger sections, I'll just go ahead and paint them. And I'm just, see, now I have to go around my circles because if I painted over the circles, I would lose my design. But once, actually maybe I should do that. I'll just do that so you can see. See how it, so my plan was to kind of paint around everything, you know, paint each shape in and that sort of thing. But I want to show you so you can see how by painting, so I put the design in and then now I started painting and I started to lose my design. Okay, so but what I can do is I can take my cup again and go right back into that design. Yeah, there we go. And okay, so you can make let's see. Okay, so I'm going to keep painting that section. What did I do with my paint? There it is. Okay. I'm going to keep painting this section. And I actually want the brush strokes to kind of show. So I want it to be abstract. But now, okay, so I've painted that. So I could go back, I can let it dry a little bit, like so, because you can see how wet it is. But I could paint the whole plate, and you could splatter paint on it. You can do whatever you want, paint the whole thing, all different colors, and then you can take different tools and make patterns. See that? You can, and I didn't even let it dry, so it's up to you. You don't let it dry all the way, just enough so it's not real wet. So I'm gonna go, I think I'll go back over some of mine because I wanna, yeah. Okay, and then I got my little circle. I wanna get these, I'm just gonna twist them a little bit, get them back in there. Okay, that's good. But now let's see, so there's all kinds of things that you can find around your house. Like if you look on the picture of your instructions, they were using noodles to make designs. They were using, there's all kinds of things. You can use a coin. There's all kinds of different things that you can use. So look around your house and see what you might find. See, now I just found this cookie cutter that has kind of a scalloped edge on it. I don't know but you know what? I don't really like that. So guess what? I can get rid of it. There we go. I just covered it up. And just cover it all up because I don't like the way that looked. And then I'll take my lid again. Where did I? Or my little circle thing. It's hard to see it because it's clear. And I'll press it back in again. There we go. Okay, gone. But I think I will use the other side of it. Just didn't like the scallop side. And I can put more designs in there if I want. Okay, and then see I have all these other sections that I can work with to make designs. Okay, so basically so you just put the slab on the plate with the plastic, you design how you want it to look. You can put the design in first, paint around it. If your design gets covered by your paint, you can put your design back in, and you can add design while you're painting it. Anything that you press into the clay will make an impression. It's wonderful. So you could take a leaf. I'm going to take the back of this pencil and make little circles into it. There we go. And now I have red on here, so maybe I'll put a couple more little circles there. Okay. All right. And so then once this you want to let this harden up. And once it hardens up, I'm just going to turn my ringer off. There we go. Okay. Once it hardens up, so you can see, let me show you. See, there's my plate so far. And then I'm gonna paint the whole thing. I'm gonna paint the edge of it, and then I'm gonna let it kind of harden up. And they call that leather hard, where it gets hard enough. It still has moisture in it, but when I pick it up, it's not gonna slump back down, right? It'll hold the form that I've created through the plate mold. And then I'm gonna flip it over, and I'm gonna paint the back side. You can carve. You can, you know, if you don't want to press things into the clay, you can just take a tool and, oh, here's a tool. I just found one. A wooden stick with a pointed edge, a skewer works. You can take a tool and you can just make designs. And you can put designs on the back of it too, if you want. Definitely put your name on the back though, because it's really hard to keep track of everybody's stuff if you don't have your name on it. Because there's a lot. Okay. Anyway, there, I just put that design in there. And now, yeah, so that's pretty much it. So I think, let me just make sure I'm not forgetting to tell you something. Let it set up for a little bit. So make sure that it's set up a little bit. You can cover it. Leave it for like 15. Actually, don't cover it. Just let it set up, and then once it's kind of the leather hard, you can flip it over and finish it. Or if you're not going to finish it today, like I probably won't finish mine today, you want to cover it back up, let it sit for a little bit, and then just make sure that it's not going to lose its form when you go to work on the back side of it. You could put little feet. Look at the pictures. There's one that has little feet underneath. Make sure you slip and score everything really well. There's one that has holes in it. And let's see, you can use, there's one that uses, you can also, a wonderful thing to impress into the clay is a shell. A shell makes really good patterns. And so you were just kind of working with texture, design and texture. Okay, I did that one. I'm just making sure I didn't forget anything before I tell you goodbye. Okay, careful, finish the back side. I did everything. Okay, and then when you bring it back to me, bring it back wrapped in the plastic like you've been doing. And next week, we won't actually have a weekly project, but we will on Wednesday. I'll put it on the Facebook and send out an email. Next week on Wednesday, which is September 2nd. Oh, I have it right here. From 12 to 1 is the time I'm thinking. You could drop these off to me, so they'll still go through the drying process and get bits fired. And you can pick up. I'm going to keep firing your pieces, so we will have a drop off and a pickup on Wednesday, September 2nd. Okay, all right. So I'll see everyone later. Thank you so much. Bye.